Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into something really fascinating, maybe even a bit baffling sometimes, the world of animal communication. Specifically, how different animals show they're not happy, or how they assert dominance. And what can we learn from their, well, very different ways of doing things? We're going to zoom in on two social herbivores that seem worlds apart. Camelids think llamas, alpacas, and cervids, so deer and elk. Our mission today is to really unpack the sources you've shared with us to get to the why behind spitting in camelids and charging in cervids. And this isn't just, ethology for its own sake. It's actually pretty critical for safety, for respect, maybe even for a bit of humility when we're sharing their space.
Exactly. We're looking at two fundamentally different approaches here. You've got the camelids, let's call it projectile argument, which is surprisingly nuanced. And then you have the cervids response, raw power, often physically dangerous. It really shows how differently they navigate their social worlds and protect themselves.
Okay, so let's start with that famous camelid spit. Most people probably picture llamas just being, well, mean or something. But the sources suggest it's way more complex than just random malice, right? What's the real deal there?
Yeah, it's far from random. It's actually a primary form of their communication. And a key defense mechanism, too. And it's important to note, for well-socialized animals, it's rarely aimed at humans. It's genuinely the language they use within the herd, and you can almost gauge their level of agitation by the type of spit. There are different levels. First, you've got what's called the air spit. It's mostly just a misty puff of air, maybe a little saliva.
Okay, like a warning shot.
Exactly. Think of it as a firm back off or I'm slightly annoyed. Low love stuff.
What's next?
Then there's the shotgun spit. This is literally spitting whatever they happen to be chewing at the moment.
Messy, I imagine.
Oh, definitely messy. But it's still not the most serious message. Often happens during squabbles over food, that kind of thing.
Right. So saving the worst for last.
Pretty much. The one everyone talks about, the really potent one, is the green stunner.
That sounds unpleasant.
It is. This is serious business. The animal actually regurgitates stuff from one of its stomach compartments. It's foul-smelling, partially digested.
Whoa.
And they eject it with surprising force and accuracy, sometimes up to 10 meters, apparently.
10 meters? Wow.
Yeah, it's this mix of saliva, stomach acid, fermented plants, just vile. And the point isn't really to injure. For a prey animal, this kind of disgusting, temporarily immobilizing thing is brilliant, really. It deters a threat without needing a physical fight, which could injure both animals. Low cost, high impact, it lets them escape.
That makes a strange kind of sense. So it's a non-lethal deterrent, basically weaponized disgust. What really struck me looking through the sources was how specific the reasons are for spitting. It's not just random outbursts.
Absolutely not. It's very purposeful. A key use is establishing and maintaining the hierarchy, the pecking order, within the herd.
How does that work?
Well, dominant animals use it to discipline lower-ranking ones. And males often have spitting matches to sort out who's boss. And again, the non-lethal aspect is ingenious. It lets them constantly test and reaffirm status without the risk of serious injury that could weaken the whole herd.
Okay, hierarchy. What else? Food competition seems like an obvious one.
Oh yeah, very common. If another llama gets too close to its grub, a quick spit is a very clear mine warning.
And then there's the mating aspect. I found this fascinating. Females spitting at males to reject them. Spitting off, they call it.
That's right, and it's incredibly reliable. Breeders actually use it as a pretty dependable sign that a female is already pregnant.
Really?
Yep. If she spits them off, it's usually a clear no thanks, either not interested or already expecting.
Huh. Okay. And the final reason is more defensive, right? Feeling threatened.
Exactly. If a camelid feels scared, seriously annoyed, cornered, or genuinely threatened, spitting is definitely on the table. And while they don't usually target humans, it can happen if they're being mistreated, or sometimes, you just get caught in the crossfire between two arguing llamas.
It happens. Now, do they give any warning before unleashing the green goo?
Oh, almost always. There are definite signs. You'll see the ears pinned back, flat against the head.
Okay.
They'll raise their nose, pointing it upwards. And often there's a sound like a guttural clicking or a sharp
Good to know.
Yeah.
Recognizing those cues seems vital.
It really is. And managing them to minimize spitting involves, well, the obvious things. A calm environment, enough space, not too much competition for food. Avoiding overcrowding is key. And positive reinforcement training helps too, along with just learning to read that body language.
Okay, so that's the sophisticated, if sometimes stomach-turning world of camelid spit. Yeah. Let's shift gears completely now. Cervids, deer, and elk. Our sources paint a very different picture here. Much more direct and, frankly, potentially much more dangerous, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's a totally different approach. Unlike the camelid sort of communicative spit, cervid aggression is direct, physical confrontation. It's usually driven by really powerful seasonal hormones or strong protective instincts, even though fundamentally they're prey animals that would rather flee.
So it's not random either, but linked to specific times or situations.
Exactly. Very predictable circumstances, actually. First big one, the rut. The autumn mating season, you get this huge surge in testosterone in the males, the bucks and bulls. They become incredibly aggressive, territorial, just unpredictable.
And they might see humans as
Rivals or obstacles. They might charge people, pets, even cars, sometimes seemingly without provocation during that time.
Okay, so autumn is risky? What about other time?
Late spring, early summer. That's fawning season. The females, the does and cows, are fiercely protective of their young, and those fawns are hidden, often very well. You could stumble too close without even realizing a fawn is nearby, and the mother might perceive you as a threat and attack.
And then there's this issue of habituation. This seems like a really significant risk for us humans.
Yeah.
What happens when they lose their fear of people?
This is critical, yeah. Deer or elk that get used to people, often because people feed them, lose their natural wariness. That flight distance, the bubble of space they normally keep, shrinks or disappears.
And that makes them more dangerous.
Paradoxically, yes. These tame animals are much more likely to stand their ground and become aggressive when those other triggers kick in the rut, protecting young. They don't have that initial instinct to just bolt. And the sources mention documented attacks, even fatal ones, often involving these habituated animals. It's a serious public safety issue.
Wow. Are there other triggers?
Sure, things like food shortages can increase tension, high population densities, an animal being sick or injured or feeling cornered like any animal. Although it's worth mentioning something like chronic wasting disease, that neurological illness. It usually makes them listless and unwell, not typically aggressive.
Okay, so if a deer or elk does decide to get physical, what are we talking about in terms of weapons? It's not just a nudge.
Oh, far from it. The males, the bucks and bulls, have antlers. These are solid bone, can weigh a lot, and they're used for impact, for fighting. Fights usually escalate. They'll do intimidation displays first, drop their ears, give a hard look, maybe advance sideways with their hair raised, called sidling.
Trying to look tough.
Exactly. But if that doesn't work, it leads to a violent rush. They charge, clash antlers, and they can gore with incredible force.
And the females, no antlers, but still dangerous.
Definitely don't underestimate them. Does use their front hooves. They're sharp, and they use them like wicked weapons, as one source put it. They'll lunge and strike, and in a serious fight, they might even rear up on their hind legs and slash downwards with those front hooves. It's fast and dangerous.
Oof. So managing them, again, prevention seems key. Respecting their space.
Absolutely. It's about giving them ample space, trying to reduce stressors in their environment, maintaining natural group structures where possible. And just like with camelids, learning their body language is crucial. Ear position, tail flicks, any vocalizations, these can tell you a lot and help avoid conflict. It really boils down to respecting their wild nature.
So bringing these two threads together, the contrast is pretty stark, isn't it?
It really is. You see these two different evolutionary paths to dealing with conflict. The camelid spit is all about communication to avoid a physical fight. It's modulated, it's social signaling, it's trying to resolve things without injury, which is vital for herd cohesion and survival. Like a strongly worded argument.
Right. Whereas with cervids, the aggression is the physical fight, more often than not. It's seasonal, it's hormonal, it's about genetic legacy during the rut, or it's that fierce, raw instinct to protect their young. High stakes, very physical.
Exactly. Direct confrontation when triggered.
And the consequences for us are vastly different, too. Getting spat on by a llama, unpleasant, memorable, maybe a bit gross.
A story to tell later, perhaps.
Yeah. But getting charged by an elk or a defensive doe, that could be incredibly serious, even life-threatening.
Which underscores why understanding these differences is so important. It's about safety, ours and theirs, and interacting respectfully, recognizing their signals, not just imposing our own interpretations.
It's really quite amazing when you think about it. Just these two behaviors, spitting and charging, open up these incredibly complex worlds of communication, instinct, survival strategies.
Yeah, it shows how every species develops its own, sometimes surprising solutions to life's challenges.
It really does.
And maybe that leaves us with a final thought, you know? If animal communication is this specific, this nuanced, What does understanding these different languages tell us about our responsibilities when we share their environment? And what other hidden signals, other ways of communicating might be out there that we just haven't learned to recognize yet?
That's a great point. So thinking about everything we've discussed, what stands out most to you from this deep dive into camelid spit versus cervid aggression?